Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om 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 Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
We are lesen, actually in English, we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, the Creative Impetus, Chapter 7, text number 13. Just for the kitchen, Danakili oder someone? Ja, most probably. Bitte auf Stopp drücken bei dem Player des wie auch immer dieses Ding heißt. Sonst haben wir dieses komische Geräusch hier. Oh, ich glaube, die haben es nicht an. Oder?
Nein, keine Ahnung, wie das angeht. Soll ich mal gucken?
Du musst einfach nur Stopp drücken.
Stopp bei diesem Player da.
Ganz rechts, das ist der Player, und einfach Stopp drücken. Okay, Text 13. Itam Drita Bhagavat Vrata Aine Yachina Vasa Sanu Savana Bhishekardra Kapisha Kutila Chata Kalapena Chaviro Chamana Suryarja Bhagavantam Hiran Mayang Purusham Uchihane Surya Mandale Vyupatishtan Etat Uvacha. Translation. Ja. Translation. Actually, we have. Yeah. Maharaj Bharat appeared very beautiful. He had a wealth of curly hair on his head, which was wet from bathing 3 times daily. He dressed in a deer skin. He worshipped Lord Narayan, whose body was composed of golden effulgence, and who resided within the sun. Maharaj Bharat worshipped Lord Narayan by chanting the hymns given in the Rig Veda. And he recited the following verse as the sun rose. Purport. The predominating deity within the sun is Hiranmaya, Lord Narayan. He is worshipped by the Gayatri mantra Om Bhur Bhuvar Sva Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimai. He is also worshipped by other hymns mentioned in the Rig Veda. For instance, Dhyeya Sada Savitri Mandala Madhya Varti. Within the sun, Lord Narayan is situated and he has a golden hue. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangung Langayate Girim Yat Kripatam Mahang Vande Shri Gurundina Taranam. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swavarantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we hear here about the activities of Maharaj Bharat. First is mentioned, he appeared to be very beautiful, because a devotee is actually very beautiful. It's interesting. Devotees are very beautiful because it said also beauty comes from inside. It's an interesting saying, and which is true. Yes. Because if, like, happiness makes beautiful. If someone is happy, somehow it's a different appearance. So the real beauty does not come from the body. It's not coming from the body. Sometimes there are maybe beautiful people, but they are, especially for devotees, they can appreciate this or they can recognize this. Because we are on the street and we see so many beautiful people from a mature point of view, but they are actually not beautiful. Often the ladies, actually. Yeah, they are empty and shallow. It's very shallow. Right? Especially here in Munich, it's such an glittering place, and they like to dress themselves and present themselves, and especially if they don't react in a nice way. If you approach them or something and they are angry, or if they are proud, right? Humility makes beautiful too. But if they're proud, you can see it's not attractive. It's just attractive for another superficial person who thinks, oh, she is beautiful or something. But actually, it's not attractive. It said the beauty of a Brahmana, what is this? His forgiveness. The beauty of the Brahmana is his forgiveness. The beauty of a woman is his chastity. Her chastity, of course. And was another one, or the third one? I can't remember.
What is the beauty of a woman is? His
Chastity, her chastity.
What is the meaning of that?
Chastity. Chaste means, chaste. The opposite of unchaste. Ha!
You don't know what chaste is?
You know the word chaste. Chaste means that someone is more... No, chaste is also, it's loyal, and it's, in German you say keusch. The opposite of keusch is if someone lives out his passions. Right? Keusch or chaste is someone who keeps his passions, especially bodily passions. No? All the bodily passions. And chaste means, and it's also more subduing, it's also more in the background, right? And the passions are more what is always in front. So, it's true like this. And it's for all devotees. It's for all the people. Also the karmis at times recognize this. Also when a football player, when they win, and he shot maybe 3 goals and he did very well, and afterwards they interview him. And it's not political correct to say, yes, I did it, I was really good, I had a good day, it was my game, I won the game actually. They always say, no, it was the team. All the karmis somehow also know this, right? It's not attractive to be proud that it's me, I did it, I'm wonderful. More humility in that sense is still there at times. To give gratitude towards others. Right? So a devotee is beautiful because, and a pure devotee like here Bharat Maharaj, because he has all the good qualities, not just 1 or 2. Like Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was actually very beautiful, especially a spiritual person recognized this. Very beautiful, very attractive. Prabhupada was very attractive. It's very rare that an old man is attractive. Prabhupada was very old, 70, 80 years old. But he was so attractive that so many people were following him, listening to him, wanting to have association with him. So many pictures. It's uncommon that people take so many pictures of an old person. Right? We have the whole database photo. How many pictures are there of Prabhupada?
16,000.
16,000. That's quite something. Celebrities don't, they are often there are many pictures of celebrities, but 16,000. And Prabhupada was only active 10 years actually. In this 10 years or 14 years. What was it? 12 years actually. 12 years. 16,000 pictures. More than 1,000 pictures every year. Yeah. So a devotee is very attractive. Yeah, has all the good qualities. We should strive for these good qualities. Yeah. So next is mentioned he had a wealth of curly hair on his head. Oh yeah, okay, interesting. Curly hair on his head, which was wet from bathing 3 times daily. So always a little bit wet, because he took the principles very serious. Even though in the verse before it said he forgot the regulative service. We should, what does it mean? Sometimes it's said, right? No regulations anymore, regulative service is not important anymore if you are very advanced and absorbed in Krishna. That doesn't mean you give up the principles of which are opposing the spiritual advancement. It just means you give up this Vedic regulations, which are higher than a material activity, but in comparison to the Uttama Bhakti, it's lower. Like deity worship. Yeah. If a pure devotee would chant and he has maybe a deity or something and he should have to worship, but suddenly he's so absorbed in his holy name for 3 days, he will not, I have to do now, he's in a different level, so to say. I don't know if this example was good, but like rules and regulations are suddenly, which regulate your passion, when we speak about passions, which regulate your passions, they are not necessary anymore if you're already on such a high platform. But still it said that the devotee who preaches, he is still following these principles to teach others. Like Prabhupada, Prabhupada doesn't need to chant 16 rounds. Because he always thinks about Krishna. So he's, in that sense, already on that platform where we want to come with our chanting. He's chanting out of ecstasy, out of love, but it's not that he has to regulate himself like this. But he was doing it for us. He was showing this. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, let's say like this. He was chanting on beats to show us like this. So when it said that there are no rules and regulations anymore, or Agnihotras, right? Very often there's in ancient times they did this fire sacrifices, also in the seclusion. So this is not necessary anymore. This is a lower, in that sense, activity than when you love Krishna already. So, but still, so it said here 3 times a day was bathing, so the hair is wet. What does this mean for us? It means for us we should bathe. Who was bathing more than once before I become a devotee? Maybe I bathed once a day. maybe not sometimes, or it was not, you have to take always shower or something, or bathing. I don't think it was for me, like in principle, getting up in the morning and bathing. Later on, somehow I figured it out and I did it. I don't know why. But before, I don't know. So, and in ancient times they were bathing maybe once a week, and it was a big thing. Right, in the Middle Ages. It said in France, right, this Ludwig the 14th. Everyone knows Ludwig the 14th, right? He lived in Versailles. It's huge palace, a huge thing. And the legend goes like this. I don't know if it's really true, but they were not bathing at all. Not at all. Sometimes, maybe once a year or something. Very rare, yeah. And they used always perfume. And they had all this wigs, this huge wigs. It was all about this prestige and all this. And he had this big thing for scratching his hair on this, because when you don't bathe so much, scratch, you have to scratch. Never heard about this?
The hair scratcher not.
And they were not going to the toilet or bathroom. He had a throne, and if he made a sign to his servants, they made some stuff under the throne, and he was doing his business on the throne, right?
Krsna.
Because there was a hole or something. The legend goes like this. Can research if you like. But anyway, it was not so common bathing and all this. It was not the hygiene. And this was Europe. This was advanced, Europe conquering the world. Like in Muslim countries, they were more clean at that time. Especially in the Middle Ages, the Muslim countries, the Muslim Empire, Turkish Empire, they were way more advanced in science and in medicine than in the Middle Ages here. It's said, no? And then what to speak of India, everyone knows to bathe, to take shower. It's more in their culture. You have it in this ancient text, Srimad Bhagavatam, so old, written 3 times a day bathing, right? If something is embedded in your old tradition, right, it stays also in the culture. It has a cultural influence. So I don't know if this is mentioned, because here it would be maybe the Bible or something. What does it say about hygiene? Right? But Veda is more complete. It teaches about all aspects of life and hygiene, Ayurveda, right? It's such an important thing, how to live healthy. So it's more knowledge, it's more known like this. Or scraping the tongue. This is an Ayurvedic practice, right? They know that the tongue produces so much of this impurities. They come out like this, and you should scrape it to have a more clean mouth. Who knows that here in the West? Now they figured it also out. If you go to DM and things like this, they have also tongue scrapers now. They have also toothbrushes, which I think what you can scrape your tongue. But before, in my childhood or when I grew up, I never heard about it. My parents were not teaching me this. So it's something new they also found out, which is ancient in India. And as a devotee, Hare Krishna devotee, you come to the temple, immediately they teach you this. Or if you join the temple, these are like the first things, how to do the bathroom stuff. Right? Because you want them to be clean for the temple and everything. And there's this, that. This is the glory of ISKCON. It even teaches us how to go to the bathroom properly. All this. I don't know. I don't want to go too much in detail because it's not so ecstatic, but it's to our glory. Like the ancient Eastern way of going to the toilet is not to sit on this throne, right? But here everyone sits on the throne in the West. And the Indian toilets, always you sit in this different posture.
There is a scientific reason lying with the same.
Am I giving lecture or you? Okay, thank you. So this is an ancient practice, and now recently I was a couple of years back at my parents' home, and my sister has a magazine, some esoteric magazine, and there was an article inside how they found out it's very bad to go to the toilet like this, and they give recommendations how to do it better with your throne toilets, right? And that you're a little bit higher with your feet, you put some bricks there or something, like simple technique, but somehow they figured it also out, and as you say, it's scientifically known that your intestines are not properly, positioned and in excavating when you are sitting. And it's much better if the knees are high like this. It's common knowledge, right? Everyone goes to toilet since ages like this, but now, no, we are advanced, we have a throne. And then we have our newspapers, and we have all our stuff there. Right? And all the devotees know it's much better. Pity that in our temples we don't have these Indian toilets where you automatically use this. There's one, I know, yeah. We should install this. At least one. For those who don't like this, but for those who like it, it's much better. It's much better. And eating is for health. It's so important what you eat. But for eating is also connected how it comes out. So this is also extremely important. Everything. Eating, digesting, excavating. This is one whole thing. And Ayurveda teaches us about this. That is so important. So, this is the high tech of Ayurveda. And which keeps people healthy. He was dressed in a deer skin. Oh, deer skin. I don't have too many deers out there to shoot, but it would be interesting if you would wear deer skins. If someone likes a deer skin, yeah. In ancient times, it was like this. They knew the deers. They have a nice, fur. Yes, we use this in Krishna service, so you could shoot a deer. It's no problem. It's not the poor deer. Because if an animal was sacrificed for something like this, it uplifts in its spiritual development. The soul will get born in a human body or something like this. This was also one of the purposes in the yagyas. It's always said to test the power of the mantra. But what happened with an animal when it was sacrificed, it either got, sometimes said, a new animal body directly, or, in the most cases, actually a human body, which it would normally not get. Normally the soul is actually caught in an animal body, and you kill it in this yagya, and it immediately goes to the human platform, which is great. But in our ages it cannot be done anymore. There are no brahmanas who can do this, so it's forbidden. In Kali Yuga it's forbidden. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was speaking with Chandkasi, was quoting this verse from the Shastra, and said, no, nowadays you cannot do this anymore. Because the Chandkasi said, because it's interesting, Mahaprabhu, what was he saying to Chandkasi? They had this nice discussion. And he said, how can you allow this? Cow killing. This is so bad. The cow is your mother. Your mother, when you grew up, gave you milk. And the cow gives you milk. So the cow makes you your mother. And you kill it. And then he said, yeah, it's in our scriptures and this and that. But Mahaprabhu was not accepting. And then the Chandkasi was very learned and said, but in your scriptures also there's cow killing. Because there's sacrificing of cows also mentioned. Sacrificing of cow, especially of horses and all kinds of other animals. And then Mahaprabhu said, no, this is different. This is not for eating. You are killing just for eating. This was killed, but was uplifted and was in yagya, it was a different thing. And it is forbidden in Kali Yuga anyways. Yeah. So all these religions who kill animals is actually very low in consciousness. How can you do this? Every devotee knows I cannot eat meat, especially not a cow. Everyone who knows cows, I cannot kill this animal and eat it. What is that? I cannot chew on someone's leg for fun. But there are religions out there who have as their principle to eat meat. Right? It's actually very low. What kind of religion shall this be? What kind of love do you live by eating meat? So, what I want to mention. And about the deer skin. It's interesting. In former times it might have worked out with deer skins. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Puri, it's very interesting. Many great sages came to have association with Mahaprabhu and joined him. It was really like this. Mahaprabhu had a movement. Actually, Mahaprabhu founded a movement. And many sages came from all over India. And he had a closer circle of very powerful sannyasis. They are mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. They were one of the trunk of the Mahaprabhu's tree. And these were the sannyasis. And one sannyasi came, and I forgot his name. What was his name? I forgot. But he was wearing a deer skin. He had it, a deer skin, and was very powerful and very renowned sannyasi. And he heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and wanted to join him. I forgot the name. Anyways, but Mahaprabhu made some hints that I was not pleased by this deer skin. Because he was also proud, because wearing a deer skin means you're like an ancient sage and you're renounced and all this. But Mahaprabhu was not satisfied, so he put it off then. So we don't have to wear deer skin. Also, when Sanatana Goswami came to, it was in Varanasi, I think it was in Varanasi, when he came to Mahaprabhu, he had a beard and was wearing the dress of a Muslim, what is it called, renunciant. And Mahaprabhu immediately ordered him he should take this down, especially the beard. So nowadays sometimes devotees wearing beards. But in this instance we can see that Mahaprabhu didn't like a beard. Right? And Prabhupada also not. Prabhupada didn't like beards. Because nowadays these beards are so modern, right? All these men run around with beards. This is like a new renaissance. This is some new style. You have always kind of a style, what is in. And a couple of years back, beards were not trendy. Not really. Nowadays, beards are so trendy. Everyone has a mustache. They make like this a little bit also, like Salvador Dali. Yeah. Or they have these big beards now and full beards. A couple of years back was not in. Now this is like cool if you have a beard. And all they run around with the beards. So maybe sometimes devotees also like to have a beard out of some reason. But, according to Prabhupada, because in the hippie times also the beards were in. And Prabhupada wanted to disassociate his movement from the hippies strongly. And beards was a hippie sign. Because they were growing hair like crazy. You know, they had long hair, they had big beards, they ran around like really unkept. Purposely unkept. We don't care about your tradition of everything has to be orderly and no, we are like this and that. Prabhupada didn't like this. So nowadays, are beards okay or not? Was it just because of the hippies that Prabhupada said, but now there are no hippies anymore? Can we have beards now? Now it's trendy even. Should devotees have beard? In general, Prabhupada liked clean shave. So that's for sure. And also for ladies, Prabhupada liked that have bind their hair. It's very important. This is also a sign of chastity actually. Because before we were speaking about chastity. Because a lady showing hair makes her more attractive, it said. And it said ladies shouldn't run. And this is just for the husband. A lady wouldn't say, "Oh, look, everyone at me, how attractive I am," and show everything and behave like this with everyone. No. Because this is a sign of chastity, to have the husband and be, submissive to the husband, and this is my husband, and my body and existence, life is to please him. And to be beautiful is for the husband, and not for the whole world. And that's the reason why the women are more, Doesn't mean that we cover them like in some Muslim countries where they have only one little vision here. This is also too much. I don't think this is Vedic. Right? I don't think this is Vedic, that the women run around like this. I understand the principle behind it, okay, but I don't think it's too proper. Veil is proper. It's interesting. Veil is proper. Veil. When the ladies put the sari thing on their head, to also be more, don't to be so much in forefront. And in former times also here, the ladies were always covering their heads. My grandmother was always running around with this. She was not Muslim. She had a how's it called in English? Kopftuch. How's it called in head? How is it called in English? I don't know. Yeah, but they have just a Kopftuch. They have just a piece of cloth, and for a shawl or something, right? My grandmother was always like this. This was common that ladies were covering their head. It was not a big thing. A sign of chastity, of culture, tradition. Many old cultures have this. And so this is kind of And then they say, this has come from the Muslims. But how does it come from the Muslims? Here it was. And recently I read an article. I will somehow show this. It's very interesting how the ancient cultures always had a veil. In Roman Empire, the Greek, the ladies always had an shawl. Shawl. No, let's say shawl. They always had like this. And it was a sign of an aristocratic lady to be like this. We know this even from the princesses. Right? If you remember, in Middle Ages, princesses or some fairy tales or something, the princess always had a shawl, maybe also covered and just the eyes or something like this. And it was not just, hide her or something. It was actually some nice thing. Prabhupada said, nice thing in that sense that what is beautiful, what is valuable, you keep safe. Right? You keep safe. Prabhupada said his mother, when she left her house, she was not going to public street or something. She was carried in a palanquin. This we also know from ancient tradition, right? The princess was carried in a palanquin. It was closed. The common people couldn't even look, look, the queen or something. It was very... To have a glimpse of the lady is something honorable. So it's opposite than or degrading, because now they say, you degrade the lady if you cover her or something. It depends how it's covered. If it's covered like, maybe it's just some this, it might be a little bit too much, but if it's in an honorable style to show it's right, this is a completely different mood. And this is actually Vedic culture. You don't present the most valuable just to everyone like this on the street. I think it's... So anyways, and in this article they showed the veil, how it's been formed in thousands of years ago. It was there in the Indo-European cultures. And even the men had veils. Like we also have it, right? When we have a chadar, we cover the head sometimes. No, it's nice. And also they showed how in the Roman Empire, also the men were wearing this veil. Like you now. Look how he sits. He has almost the veil. And he also chadar. Yeah, exactly. So devotees doing this. And now we say, you are man haters. You want to you want to hide your man. Man hater. Shawl hiding. Head. Whatever. So it's more the thing how we do it, right? So if this is understood as a women hating thing, and if it's real like this, you wanna hide her or something, or she only incites lust in everyone, so I have to hide her or something. Okay, this is then wrong. But if it's done a different reason, or it's a different mood, then it's okay. right? So there are two extremes anyway nowadays in our culture. The one extreme, of course, if you see this Christian-Muslim conflict, the one extreme is in the Muslim world, where maybe ladies are sometimes mistreated or a little bit too much condemned or something. But maybe it's not even like this. And the other extreme is the women's liberation, when you run around with the hair like this and skirts like this and like this. Summertime is extreme, actually. It's really bizarre. Go on the street in summertime, how the ladies run around.
They run around like prostitutes 20 years ago.
20 years ago, yeah, I would say prostitutes. And young girls also. Not just older. Old also. Sometimes really old also. They are still in their midlife crisis, something to, I can also compete with the other young girls or something. I'm still not too outdated or something. And girls, very small girls also. So this is the other extreme, right? The one extreme, the other extreme. So in the middle is what we have to find, the real culture of behavior and dress. Anyway, so all about the deer skin here, huh? From deer skin and dress and fashion. So he worshipped Lord Narayan, whose body was composed of golden effulgence and who resided within the sun. So Prabhupada says here, Narayan is residing in the sun in a golden form. Surya Narayan, right? It always says Surya Narayan. It's interesting. Is this Vivasvan or is this a different form of Narayan residing in Surya, in the planet? Actually, I don't know. But anyway, it's here said Surya Narayan. So this is Krishna, Narayan, Vishnu, in a golden form residing in the sun. Must be extremely beautiful. And he is worshipped, and Prabhupada reveals here, in the purport, who remembered the mantra, what was revealed actually to the uninitiates, but still we can hear it. No? Om Bhur Bhuva Sva Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. This is the Gayatri mantra. This is actually in ISKCON also, we are initiating in the Gayatri mantra. You will get, when you get second initiation, then the Guru will speak in your right ear. It said right ear. Sometimes I hear even left ear. I'm confused, but sometimes I have left ear. But normally it's the right ear. He speaks the Gayatri mantra because it said the Gayatri mantra is given through the disciplic succession. And it has to go like this. Even though Prabhupada gave it with tape also. Because he couldn't initiate everyone, so many devotees. So he sent the tape out to the temple presidents and play it to the initiate so you can hear the mantra when I chant it. So this mantra is very powerful actually. It describes the planetary systems. Bhu, Bhuva, Sva means the earth. The Bhuva means the in-between. And Sva, heavenly planets. And that the sun is residing there and all this. But it's interesting that we are, in that sense, sun worshippers. We worship the sun with the Gayatri. The Gayatri mantra refers to the sun. Yeah? Savitu. And the effulgence of the sun is meditated upon. It's interesting. And why? Because Surya Narayan. Because Krishna is in this sun planet. So it's not demigod worship, it's worship of Krishna. And once I met a woman on the street when I was on book distribution in Baden, it's in Austria. And she said, I do yoga and this and that, and I take a book if you recite the Gayatri mantra. For me. And I said to her, there's a Gayatri mantra. There's a secret mantra, I cannot tell you. And she said, what? No, Gayatri is not this. Because these yoga people, they always chant Gayatri. Always chant Gayatri. This is one of their things to it. It's of course nice, but it's meaningless in that sense because they are most of the time not initiated by Guru into the chanting of the mantra. So it said actually it's useless. You have to get it from the Guru. So I told her, no, I cannot tell you because I'm not a Guru or something and it's a secret mantra and it will be useless. And she was a little upset. She was really upset. And then she said, no, don't take your book. I said, don't take it. You cannot force me to do something, right? Just don't take it. Bad for you. And I still think about it. Should I have said the Gayatri mantra that she can take a book or not? Or And others say, no, I stood ground on my principle. Also good. Show your principle, right? We don't have to. Even though Tamal Krishna Maharaj tells this story that he distributed books in India, and one person said, I only take a book if you pour this, it was either lemonade or some soda, on your head. If you put this soda on your head, this drink, I take a book. And he did it. That this is more important that you take a book than for me making a clown out of myself. Okay, maybe humility, also good. Sometimes good to stand your ground, stand your principles. Even though nobody likes it. Prabhupada was standing his ground. Prabhupada said so many things which were politically not correct. Prabhupada was active in a very revolutionary time. Right? You have this hippie movement. There was this counterculture. You had this Vietnam War. There was so much going on in America especially. So many demonstrations and the riots and things like this. The whole culture was in change. No? Women's liberation came out and Prabhupada came and said women are less intelligent. He said like this all the time. And if someone challenged him, he did not care. He said, oh, sorry, oops, oh, really, you think about, I take it back. I shouldn't say, oh, okay. Prabhupada he said, sorry, but this is, you have to know this. We have to set things right. Or when he spoke about gay people, right? He said, it's not good. He said more heavy words. But it's not good, right? At least we can see like this. Or when he said, many, many things. But the point is, or just to say, there is a supreme God. There's God. You should surrender. Don't live like cats and dogs. Your civilization is a condemned civilization. Cats and dogs. Right? Prabhupada said, the dogs are running on 4 legs, you are driving on 4 wheels. What's the difference? Our civilization without dharma, it's just animals. Very often he said animals. Politicians, he called animals. And what he said about UN, the great UN, is that all barking dogs. Like this. But he doesn't say it in condemning, just as a sage. A sage is always coming and say the truth, even unpalatable. And this is our duty. And nowadays we live actually in extremely dangerous times from meaning point of view, or from what you can say and what you cannot say. People losing their jobs because they say things which are politically not correct. They only say things and they lose a job. All right. It's very intense. For us right now in Germany, ISKCON Germany, we don't have this problem so much because we are very small. We have no voice. We have no stage. We have no following. So I can say things like this here and probably nobody will care. Even I uploaded on YouTube and I said a couple of things now which nobody sees that, right? But if 50,000 people would see my video here, what I hope will happen one day, I have to be probably a little bit more careful what I say, how I say it. Right? It's intense. Why? Because the atmosphere is different. And ISKCON, in places where we are more on forefront, devotees are more careful. And it's the reason why a book recently got banned by an ISKCON guru. They banned a book by an ISKCON guru in America because it's politically not correct. It's not allowed to sell it in the temple, especially not in Mayapur, and in Vrindavan it's forbidden to sell because it's politically not correct. But see how far it goes. And as I said, people losing their jobs. There's one reporter, and he made a movie about the 9/11. I think he wrote a book even before. So he went to America to research this 9/11. And the first scene this was on what was it? Some German TV channel. NDR or something, WDR, ARD, not so big, but like official. I don't know which one it was. Anyway, so he went and made this report. It was 40 minutes, and you can see his report about 9/11. And in the first scene, you see how he's in Shanksville. You remember Shanksville? When the 4 planes crashed, one was in Shanksville. This is, I don't know exactly where what is the state, but one crashed in the, of course, 2 crashed in the towers, 1 crashed in the Pentagon, and 1 somewhere in the middle of nowhere. You remember this? Nobody remember? You don't know? Okay. These devotees are too transcendental. The event. Huh? But anyway, you were not devotee in 2001. And you not. And you not. And
the event,
you yes. Huh?
The event we remember on the 4th plane.
Okay. Okay, anyways. In 2001, this is one of the days when I became devotee. 9/11, I remember it so clearly. Because it was the birthday also of Pradyumna. We had birthday party in front of TV where thousands of times you saw these planes crashing. Now it starts. Armageddon. We were waiting for the apocalypse. But then Hare Krishna came. So anyways, and one plane, I don't want to go too much in detail, this was just a field. Right? It was just a field and one of the planes crashed there. So when this reporter went there to investigate, to make his report, because there's also a memorial place because many people died there, and you have memorial and the pictures of people who died and the stone, what happened here, right? Because it's a historic event. So and for this report, this was the mayor of this little place, Shanksville, was also there, like Bürgermeister from Jandelsbrunn, very small place, Shanksville. So interviewed him and asked him, so what was it? What happened here? Like this couple of years back, the plane. And he said, we came there. We were, one of my friends from the firefighters was one of the first there. And we came there and we saw it on the TV also, and everyone informed us that a plane crashed, and we came there, but there was no plane. And everybody said, what? What, no plane? And we came there and there was no plane. The firefighters, they looked, where's the plane? There was just a hole in the ground. And then said, this plane, it pulverized. It pulverized. It must have pulverized. Become like nothing because of the heat or something. Everyone tells us there's a plane, but there's no plane. I said, what? This cannot be. I tell you, there was no plane. And he says, I don't understand myself. So this is when this reporter started, what is going on here? And he started investigating other things also, and many things came out, right? About this whole thing, how it's actually not as they tell you, and things like this. So he made this movie, and it goes more into detail, and he talks with this called truthers. In America, it's a big movement. It's called truther. Right? They want to find the truth, and it was founded by the people, the relatives of the people who died in the World Trade Center, because they wanted to know what happened there. My father died, right? My sister died. My 3,000 people died. So they wanted to know, and they saw this was to tell us it doesn't work out, and a big movement founded to find out what is the truth. So much so, even Chadveta Maharaj, he was I don't know if he still is, into this and wrote articles on 9/11, said that what they tell you is not the truth. This is so different. So anyway, he goes further on his report, and then it was aired. And it had many people looked at it. Because in Germany still these informations are not so much like in America out there. So many people were interested. And then more and more, how was it indeed? Anyways, he lost his job for this reporting because he reported something what is not politically correct. He lost his job. And this same guy, he start writing, and he writes many books about all kinds of things. And he's actually extremely successful. And he has a publisher, and the publisher cancelled now with him. And actually the publisher made so much money with him, but he writes too many things which are politically not correct, and the publisher is quite an accepted publisher. And this happens out there all the time, that you lose your job, you get this and that, if you don't say what is the line. Even Michael Cremo, no? What's his name? Jutta Karma Prabhu, who wrote this very interesting book. It's called Forbidden Archaeology. And there also speaks on archaeologists, and they find bones in some strata, which is very old, and shows you that Darwinian evolution theory, or how they present it, cannot work out. And if you bring these bones to the research, and it tells you, okay, this is now, I don't know, 2 million years old, and then the professors come and say, no, this is not 2 million years old. And you ask why? I said, because it cannot be. Our theory tells us something different. And then he said, but I found it in this strata. It's, I researched, it's 2 million years. I said, no, it's not. And if you keep your opinion, you lose your job. So why do I say this? This is just a principle. This is how the world works, where there's an opinion, there's a mass opinion. And then you come with a different opinion, it's always a conflict. It's a conflict. So we as devotees, we have many, many conflict topics. Many. Actually, the whole Hare Krishna movement is a conflict for the material understanding of life. We want to smash it. It's not just that we say, oops, we said it, I take it back, or oops, I said it, but it's like it's no, we say it loud, we shall say it loud. To wake them up. So if our movement now compromises on that, they say, we cannot say it anymore, we upset people, or they will not accept us. Who cares? You want to have a bunch of fools accept you? Illusion people accept you? No. You want to have people accept you who are decent, who are intelligent. And they will accept you for what you say. And if we are now so watered down, what's with the serious people if you just tell a bunch of watered down informations? They will not get it. You will misguide them. It's simple like this. On Facebook I read, even though I want to say goodbye to Facebook, at least to the home button. But there I read some devotee posted, because they speak a little bit on this also, how much can you say nowadays and not. He said a devotee was banned from giving lectures because he was speaking on death on the Sunday feast. In some temple, I don't know I don't know how true it is, but I said, it would fit inside. I don't know how true it is, right? Facebook, who knows what he writes. But another devotee was banned definitely in Croatia, in Zagreb. He cannot speak because he's very outspoken, of course. Maybe it's too much or something, who knows. But what he says, it's online with Prabhupada, and he is not allowed to give lectures anymore, right? Of course, in German you also say, der Ton macht die Musik. How you say it, is also how you can... If I come in with like a bazooka and smash all the heavy statements of Prabhupada on your head, like this, and Prabhupada said like this. We should present it in a cultured way, of course. But still, it's interesting how this public correctness, it's called public correctness, is... it's interesting. But sometimes people who are purposely, publicly incorrect are very successful. There's one now, I don't want to mention his name, but in America there's now, this year, they will vote a new president. And there's one person from the Republicans who is actually very successful. He's extremely incorrect in what he says. And he's most successful. All the Americans are for him. Not all, many. Many say, of course, it's now the power of the stupid, because what he says, all this is quite, what is the word? Populistisch in one sense, right? So, more intelligent people might, I don't know who will. But anyway, he's probably incorrect. He's very incorrect on women, as he makes jokes on women, which is completely not correct. He said, Muslims, I will not allow them to come in America, ban Muslims because of this Paris and everything. And people said, cannot do this. And I said, yes, it's good, fine if someone says it. And these are the most extreme things in general. Anyway, but he's extremely successful. And also in ISKCON, sometimes devotees are politically incorrect. Finally someone says it, or isn't it? Not beating around the bush. Finally someone says it directly. So direct is good, but of course it should be reasonable, it should be cultured, it should be with a right motivation, meaning it's to help devotees, not to smash them, or I know it better, or you in Maya and now, or something like this. So also if we say things about women, about, what else, no? Karmis, materialists, it's not to condemn, it's always to, please my dear person, devotee, look at it from this point of view and it's better. Maybe it's politically not correct, but it's not true. It's more in line with Shastra and Guru and Prabhupada, and you don't want to live in illusion. So especially for devotees, we should not be too much concerned about these mundane views. We should be very faithful in Prabhupada. We should always know that he's a pure devotee who always wishes us well. He wants the best for us. Even if he's heavy, he's never condemning. It's true, and it would be helpful and good for me if I accept it. And it's true, it works out like this. Then our bhakti will develop because it's faith in the Guru. It's very important in all these topics. Yeah, it's very interesting. Social acceptance and all this. Okay, anything? Questions on these points? Yes?
Once somebody said, I think it was in school still, a history teacher, he said, those in history who always stood for the principles and sometimes were a bit extreme, they always had clear and distinct following. I thought it was very thoughtful, provoking for me, because we'd be like to adopt too
exactly,
much.
Yes.
Yeah. And this won't last in history.
Exactly.
Never lasted in history.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. It's also said there are religious movements who are more clear and more conservative. They gain more followers. Like Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons. And now Muslims. Muslims have a huge following now. And, right? So, and we as Hare Krishna, now we love and like everyone, right? We have to speak only what everyone likes, but what is everyone? Because on one point, if we have to also communicate with Christians, but Christians don't like that you say God plays on a flute, it's blue, or maybe we hide Krishna then. It's always for the preaching. It's not that I accept it. We know what Prabhupada wants, but we have to hide it, right? We have to only speak that what is palatable. We have to hide everything then. So we should speak, this is what we believe in, this is our Shastras and our information. We like it, don't like it, but it's how we do it. That's how we speak, how we dress, how we speak, how we behave. Now this rush to, the Western civilization is not so bad and all this. No, it is bad. So many people who speak like this, it's not so bad, we can learn so much from them. A couple of things might be there, but go on the street, see how they live, how they behave, how it's going on. You want to be like that? As I said before, like hygiene and things like this in the Asian countries, this was always known. Things like this. Yeah, we should have some faith and trust, right?
It's also interesting and good that ISKCON is not just one-sided, and either way. ISKCON is so many-sided. We all have everything. We have the right wing, left wing, so that it's okay. We shouldn't fight down each other, because I think it's also another thing of Kali to split the devotees, the old school and the new school, and you fight those and those fight those.
Yeah, of course.
Stupid. Like you preach your way, you preach our way, and we all preach it.
Yeah, but preaching doesn't mean discrediting our own tradition.
That's their decision.
Preaching means to show the glory of Vedic culture, glory of our sampradaya, right? And not play it down when it comes in in contact with another worldview or tradition or something. And the West, has good things and bad things, of course. But in general, it's not that we can learn too much on behavior here, right? How they live, how it's lived in the West, how it's understood. I don't think we can learn too much in comparison to what we can learn from Srila Prabhupada and from the Veda. Yeah, we shouldn't compromise. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. Or?
No, but everybody has his own style of preaching. We cannot deny also that.
Yeah, but there's a border. There's a border of preaching. There's not everything goes. Like I said, just political correctness, like this. No? Or let's say we should be faithful to what Prabhupada says. We cannot water this down. We cannot water this down.
But there will always be differences. There won't be a unified understanding of Prabhupada. It will never happen.
Yeah, but some principles there is a unified understanding. Of course, there are some details maybe, but the principles, like principles, you cannot water them down. You have to present it like it is. That's what I mean. The principles.
So the question
the application.
And what is detail?
Yeah, okay, then we have to discuss. But the application, how you apply, okay, Prabhupada was liberal. Prabhupada was liberal in the application and timely circumstances, but there are certain things Prabhupada was not liberal. Said this is how it is, and we have to say it, and we have to live it, and we have to say it loud, and there we cannot compromise. Like, the general mood of material life is suffering. But often you hear, you cannot say it anymore. Material life is suffering. Birth, death, old age and disease. You will die. Very soon. You should chant Hare Krishna. Oh, don't say that, but that's how it is. How you want to compromise on that? No speak about death. How you want to compromise on that? Is it a principle or is it a detail?
That's a principle of material nature.
Yeah, this is a principle.
Suffering. It's clear.
Yeah. That we're not the body and things like this. Huh?
Srimad Bhagavatam, there's text about meat eating for people. It's allowed.
In Bhagavatam is a text where meat eating for people is allowed. Yeah, of course. Meat eating is allowed for degraded people. But not for Vaishnavas, not for devotees, not for transcendentalists, not for those who want to get love of Krishna. But because Veda takes in consideration that not everyone is as advanced, so you can eat meat, Prabhupada says, of useless animals, like goats. Yeah, useless you can eat, but not cow. Cow is very valuable. Right? It's very valuable. Cannot eat a cow. They are sinful. So for those, they can eat meat, but they have to offer and sacrifice all this, and through that they will become purified and understand, oops, I shouldn't do that. Yeah. But for devotees, for transcendentalists, it's a different story. Or you would not allow a devotee here on the altar who eats meat or something. It's completely unacceptable. Okay, anyways, that's what yes, please.
I want to ask, it's the principle, detail, about when we preach and distribute books and say it's religion or not religion, but they ask this and they say, no, it's not religion.
Book distribution in that sense different, because the main thing in book distribution is to distribute a book. This is the most important thing. So how you present it, that the person takes a book, it's up to you. They're very free. But on preaching, I mean, if you speak to a person, the topic, if you explain how everything works, then we have to be clear. Book distribution in that sense, you want to distribute a book. So to some people I say it's a religion, yes, and some people I say no. Because it depends, on the person, situation. Huh? Yeah. Some say no, it's not religion, it's spirituality, or religion is something what tells you what to do, but spiritual life is to find out what you are, or something like this. Or you can say religion, yes, in that sense, that religion means to reconnect to Krishna, to God, or the Supreme. It's not about some institution. It's true, it's not about institution. ISKCON is also not about institution. ISKCON is about sadhu sangha. Institution is just a media to get it. And yeah, like this. But if preaching, like if you give a lecture, this is what I mean. If you have public speaking in front of devotees, like this is when you present the Siddhanta. If you have a person on the street who has questions, yeah, you have to know how you preach, how you explain everything. Reasonable, but and faithful, and yeah. And then you have time, you can explain, and then this question, religion or not, is no problem anymore because you can explain. That what you mean is just on this short, do I say yes or no, he will run away or stay. So this is not in the so relevant. Yeah.
But generally also it's good to be clear on book distribution. Sometimes I used to avoid discussion. I said religion, especially I used to distribute in the East, it's like, it's religion. Yes, and run away. But if you explain it in a nice way, like you can see this and that way, but also say at the end it deals about God, but it's an understanding, different understanding. You explain it. So, because at the end they will open the book and they will see 10 times God per page.
We shouldn't hide God. Of course, if they ask it's about God, this is something different. But religion is a different. Yeah. We don't hide God. No, if they ask it's about God or something, and like this is, of course it's about God, of course. But it's probably not the understanding of God what you have, or that one what you don't like. Often people have a problem with a certain conception of God, and we can say maybe there are different conceptions of God. Look at that. Probably the God what you are not believing in, I not believe either. All right. What is the God you don't believe? So, yeah, like this God we don't hide. Okay, thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Gaura Brahmanande.
Hari Bol.
Me.